Most businesses don't start with a grand plan. They start with someone seeing a problem up close and deciding they can do it better. Welcome to On the Entrepreneur's Journey. I'm your host, Peter Santry, and I spent decades on Wall Street financing growth and change of control transactions. And today I work with leadership teams to help them scale and build real enterprise value. Today, I'm joined by Bill Taylor, founder and CEO of DCE Solar. Before starting his own company, Bill spent years in technical sales roles, learning the businesses from the inside, working with customers, understanding how products were sold, and seeing firsthand what worked and what didn't. 17 years later, he's built a platform that designs, engineers, and constructs solar power systems across the country with about $100 million in revenues. We're going to talk about what triggered that leap into entrepreneurship, how he built the business, and what it really takes to scale in a complex, fast-moving industry. So, Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm pleased to be here.
Good, good. So, as I said in the intro, you spent years in sales roles before starting your own business, and you mentioned to me you were picking up things not to do. But what were the things that you were seeing during that time that stuck with you and have brought you or enabled you to create your company?
Yeah. During my time in the past, I'm a observant of what works and what does not work.
Hmm.
And One thing I saw in many of these different companies is the people weren't being treated correctly, and therefore the work showed it. Either internally in the manufacturing or customers felt that that employee didn't want to be there. And I was like, this is a quick fix. Care about the people, get them motivated, and the customers will feel it. And when I started the company, there were two criterias that I said I was going to put together. There's one is a company that I would want to work for, one that cares about me, one that sees my potential, helps me get there personally and professionally. And the other side of that was a company that I would want to buy from. What does that company look like? They have my back. I'm giving them $1. I need $1.30 or $1.40 in value back. So it's simple, but many companies don't operate that way, and therefore they may not be successful.
Right. So you decide that these are the things that you want to have. These are the two things: company that you'd want to work for and buy from, which, both sides of the trade, very, very good. But you still had to come up with a company. So you decided I'm going to go and start one. But then you had to say, well, what am I going to start? And we know you have a technical background. So how did you land on energy and then solar in particular? Because I find it like, you had the world to choose from and
Right.
you ended up here. So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
Yeah. So I had no solar background. I had no energy background. Uh, I've an entrepreneurial spirit. And so I said, okay, where are their problems? And I want to find a problem that's big. Because if there's no problem, there's really no product. You could build the greatest product, but it's not solving a problem. So I felt energy was going to be an issue. This was back in 2008. I was observing what the Europeans were doing. The Europeans were leading the charge in solar. The government put in a feed-in tariff uh, in Europe, and I saw the acceleration, and I looked at where there's problem in the U.S. We're going to see the same issues, and I believed solar would come to the United States. That was intuitive. It was a vision. And I said, okay, well, how do I apply my skills to this marketplace? So I would go to trade shows, conferences, and I'd start seeing, same people and heard problems and solutions. I was really just gathering information on the marketplace. In the meantime, I had nothing, so I would make anything that would just get me into the solar space. So we were making, and I had like one employee at the time, and we rented like an engineer. So we would find a problem and come up with some type of unique bracketry that holds solar panels on the facade of a building. That was one of our first projects in North Carolina. Westinghouse built a building. It was an afterthought. They wanted solar on the facade. They really had no way to put it on there because there was no kind of bracketry to do that. I rose my hand, said, I'll do it. I could do this. And then I would just keep doing that. I'd find a unique problem and make us have a solution for them. We did a
Mhm.
project for the Navy. The Navy they had a building off the coast, and they wanted to put solar on it. Really didn't give it a lot of thought. They had somewhat of a preparation, but they never executed on it. And we had to make a unique structure to fit on what they believed early on that it would work for solar. It really wasn't conducive, but we made it happen. So all of these were one-offs just to get exposure into the solar market, and we've grown from there. For instance, a winery in North Carolina, they wanted to put solar uh, in the entry of the vineyard, so that people can visually see that they're looking to go green, and they were using the power. And yeah, I'll make you a structure. So I made a structure. So that's how it all started, just to do anything to get into space.
So your engineering background enabled you to come up with solutions, and certainly Detweiler and other places gave you some training on how to do that, and you were able to. And then, of course, you needed to find somebody to manufacture that for you, and
Right.
you were then able to leverage your past relationships there, correct?
That is absolutely right. Uh,
So that
so
was
we
convenient,
would
you know.
prototype. Yeah, we'd prototype, have a whiteboard, draw it up, have an engineer design it, and then we prototype it, make sure it works, and then deploy it.
Wow. Wow. Fortunate that you had worked with companies that had sort of uh, expertise that could make those designs come to life pretty quickly and were willing to do it for you, which was
Yeah,
probably a testament to the way you departed those companies, and they
for
felt
sure.
that they had a excellent relationship, and there was somebody you could be trusted. And I find it fascinating that it was just by, talking to the clients, finding problems, and then just go and do it. But then, eventually the ad hoc projects have to start. You have to land on something. So
That's
tell me
correct.
about that development and what you chose to be your sort of flagship product that, launched you on the way to where you are today.
Right. So, like, we'll start with that winery. That was what they call a ground mount system. You have foundations in the ground and a structure that holds the solar panels. Uh, we saw there was a market for that, so we started to create our own designs around that. They're all unique in their own way, meaning you have heavy snows in the Northeast. In Arizona, you have no snow. So you have to build the structure according to the geographic environments. And parallel to that, I was observing, who's in this space, what are they good at, and I noticed the buyers, which were the engineering, procurement, construction companies that were building solar plants. If they had a rooftop project, they would have to go to one source. If they had a ground mount, they would have to go to another source. And I'm like, well, we should make their world easy. They can go to one source, their rooftop on a Target store, or they have a ground mount for Amazon. uh, we could be the solution rather than have. And so you have to build the relationships. The acquisition cost for a customer is low because you're selling them both products. So we made products for rooftops and ground mount at the same time, and that was really getting away from the one-offs because that was really not a long-term goal.
Right.
You just burn cash and you burn yourself out. You want repeat customers. They keep buying the same type of products, and that's what we did. We put our first rooftop on a school, and then we kept launching the ground mounts in North Carolina, and then as the solar market evolved, then it was Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and then we just continued to grow with the marketplace.
Now,
And
Bill, did you decide I mean, you had this initial relationship with Detweiler where they were doing a lot of the manufacturing for you. Did you continue with that model and sort of have somebody, a third party, making all your designs for these projects? And I'm great way to preserve cash
yes,
and have a variable cost model. And so, it lowered the capital intensity immensely by doing it. And are you still working that way today?
yeah. So we have contract manufacturers. They have our dies. They make our shapes. So they are the fabricators. We don't hold those assets, the machines. They are our proprietary designs, and we, send them an order, and they make our product and ship right to the sites.
Okay, so you don't even do assembly work at all. Do you have a plant at all?
No, we have no plant.
Okay, so
So
really,
in your opening, I do have, DCE Solar, which is now the construction, I mean, the product side, which we
right,
racking. We have rooftop, ground mount, carports, carport structures, and
right,
now we have a single axis tracker. And then we have DCE services, which is the construction arm, which I
right.
started that in 2019 to solve another problem.
Right, the GCE, you're the GC for the product, and I was going to get to that because the first move was to go from ground mount to rooftop, then moving into car parks and things like that. So you became a sort of a one-stop shop there, and then
Yes.
you became, then you became a GC to actually to do that, and so your design, your engineering not contract manufacturing, but still that's under the roof, and you became a complete solution for somebody. And tell me how that came about, because it's really is it just seeing additional problems that you felt you could solve and just expanding into those empty spaces?
100%. 100% is, I'm always curious. Can I do something better? Uh, where are their problems? And around 2017, I was seeing a lot of projects that weren't being built correctly. They'd buy our product, but the construction group didn't really do a good job. And or even our competitors' products. We've seen projects that weren't being built right, and it's to me, it's I don't like to see waste. So somebody got hurt on those jobs, meaning financially hurt because it's not working right, or it's not going to last the 30 years that it's expected life cycle. So I said, you know what? Let's just bring our business acumen, methodology on how we operate, high integrity, do what we say we're going to do, and start building these systems. And since 2019, it's been very successful. We build rooftops, ground mounts, carports, trackers, and that's full turnkey. So we hire the civil contractors to move the dirt, the construction groups to put the foundations in, mount the panels, and then also the electrical group that will wire it, commission it, and then the job's done.
Yeah, that's great. So circling back to the beginning, you said you wanted to build a company you'd want to buy from. So what does that mean in practice in terms of your interactions with the customer?
Well, we're high integrity. Everybody knows that we're going to do the right thing for the customer. We tell them the truth. We're very honest. Um, and we manage each one of their projects as if it's ours. How would we go about designing this? How would we go about constructing this for if this was our own, not
Hmm.
monetarily how much we can make. It's really, let's make this project success. Each one is looked at that way, and the money will come if you do the right thing. So that's we have a good name in the industry, and it's really because of our execution.
Okay. Okay. And I guess that's a common, it's a commonly sought after goal, but it's one you seem to really build into your core values. So if I obviously you've gone from 17 or, 2009, 2008, 2009 to, close to 100 million. Obviously, the scaling wasn't always smooth. There are always some hiccups. Can you talk about some of the challenges you've overcome along the way? And what maybe some of the current scaling challenges you have is now you have three or four businesses that you're trying to manage.
Yeah, so well, some of it's really the unknown, the uncertainty. Government makes a decision that impacts you overnight. Uh,
Yes.
these things have happened to us several times in the past 6 years that we've had to work around, and that's just not just DCE; it's the whole marketplace.
Right.
So, having those things happen is never fun, but we never overextend ourselves. So we are we're always watching our position. We're always forecasting what's going to happen as far as revenue in. We weigh that, and then we operate monthly with that orientation. So we never overextend ourselves in the event. COVID is another example, right?
Yeah.
We live through it, and I'm one that I never want to tell anybody bad news that I made a mistake and you have to go. I take everything personally, and we've never had to let anybody go for those challenging times because we've managed our cash very well. Um, and the other thing is everybody in the company works very hard. And so we don't have a lot of duplication. We don't have a lot of overlap for that reason. I never want to tell somebody that they have to go because I have exposed the company.
Right, right. It sounds like you have a very good sense of sort of future-proofing your company so that you have the liquidity. You're not overextending yourself, and you've always got resources in reserve. And I do love the low capital intensity and the contract manufacturing piece
That was
makes a
by
lot of
design.
sense to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was by
and
design. Yeah,
yeah, and so that you can be a little bit more nimble and skinny down more easily without having a lot of overhead or equipment needs.
that's correct. Exactly.
The other thing that, I mean, you're a big culture guy, and you talk about servant leadership and the idea that everybody should win. So again, and maybe it's related to the prior question, but how does that show up day to day inside your company?
Yeah, so I treat this again. What kind of company would I want to work for? It's
Right.
they care about me personally. They care about my kids. They care about me buying that new house. They care. So we operate in that fashion. We really care about these individuals. They work very hard, but they enjoy being it. So they enjoy showing up to work. They enjoy the camaraderie with their colleagues. Everybody has a bad day once in a while, and they're told to pick that person up, brush them off and try to make their day better. And then,
Hmm.
so that's the kind of culture we care about one another. And then the customers feel it. They feel that they enjoy being there. They really care about the customer. And that's probably why we've been successful.
Yeah. It's I'm finding with the successful companies I'm talking with, that people who um, use culture as a productivity tool and either helping, the person you're producing work for down the line do their job more easily or a better work better as a team. These are the sources of efficiencies that business schools don't measure and KPIs don't measure, but make a huge difference in
They do.
terms of your efficiencies and things like that. And I really think this is the new frontier for company efficiency and things like that. And I really commend people who are using those, those kind of tools.
I think that's where a lot of companies go wrong. They put money first, and it's all about the returns for that month. And if you put people first, the money will come.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, it's not, uh, laissez-faire. You show up and it's kumbaya and everything works well. No, they have to be producers.
Right.
Um, but it's not a sweatshop. It's enjoyment. I want to see them enjoy. I want to see where they want to go, where personally, professionally. Where do you want to live? You want to live in France? How do I get you there? Do you want to be in accounting? Okay, let's talk about it. How do we get you into accounting? So that's what drives me, and I think they feel it. I am not, let's fill Bill's pockets with money. That's not my thing. My thing is seeing everybody enjoy one another, see what we're doing, making our customers more profitable, and really impacting the world because we need the power.
Right. Right. You touched on this before, but and that's external volatility. Government policies started this business. There were incentives for people to produce, to create the actual panels themselves. That there was a learning curve, and government stepped in. Now the tide seems to be going away from sort of picking any winners in the energy space and maybe a little bit more towards fossil fuels. You've seen tariffs, pricing swings. Fortunately, though, you've always been a domestic sourcer of your product. But how do you manage a business when so much is outside of your control? I mean, it must be a challenge, and we did touch on it a little bit, but would love to hear your answer to that.
Yeah, I think we talked some, managing our cash, having, not a lot of duplication inside. We're using a lot of automation. But the other thing is really keeping your ear to the ground. You need to have a lot of data points to know what's going on in the marketplace, on the supply chain, logistics. You really have to get all these data points so you can make an intuitive decision based on, well, I think this is going to happen. Let's watch out. Let's not step in that landmine. Let's walk around it. So I think that's really, really important. We're constantly engaged with our customers. Hey, where are you going? What state are you going to next? Let us have a flag there so we're prepared for you. What are your challenges? Are modules available? What's going on with module pricing? So all those data points help us make good, sound decisions.
So, Bill, when you decided, it was just serendipitous that you ended up being using U.S. Supply chain sources, or was it
No.
a deliberate decision on your part to buy American? I'm just curious because it obviously has been very advantageous given what's gone on in the tariffs and I'm sure others competitors have been ensnared in the supply chain nightmares and you've dodged that bullet. Was that by choice or tell me how
Well,
that happened?
just like, what does the company look like? I want a company I'd be proud to work for and one that I would want to buy from. The other part of that was I want to help this economy. I want to do the right thing. I'm going to hire here and buy here. And that was a value that I was not going to move from. Uh, the market tried to push us in that direction to reduce cost because our competitors were buying overseas. And I said, no, I'm not doing it. I'm going to take a margin hit, uh, but I feel better about it. I'm employing here. I'm buying here. The fabricator is hiring people. They're buying another machine. The machine's made here. That to me is the right course, and I'm always going to take the high road. I'm not going to take monetary gains, jeopardize people over monetary gains. I just won't do it.
Yeah, I love that, and I think if there are any CEOs listening, that that's just a great, very admirable, and I think our country would be better off if more people did that. Candidly,
And
um,
fortunately, to your point, though, it's turned around. Now
yeah,
I'm in a better seat because I've stood that ground, and now it's Buy American, right?
yeah,
They're promoting the buy domestic content, and although it was painful 10 years ago, 8 years ago, everybody was buying overseas. I stayed to my core values, and now I'm the beneficiary.
right, and you get probably preference from your vendors because you did do that, and that's great. So as we look forward, the regulatory environment's a little, I think it's defined a little bit, but it's not as favorable. But what's next? I know you're looking at things like battery technology. What's the next phase for an solar-based energy company like you?
Well, fortunately, with this administration, although they're not big fans of solar, we need the power. So
Yes,
for
we
that,
definitely do.
we are underserved in power. China's building like crazy solar power. Every form of energy, they're deploying.
Yeah.
And whoever has the lowest cost of energy and abundance of energy is going to be the global winner. And we want to be an AI leader. You can't do it if you don't have the power. So we are the beneficiary of this movement right now, and it's rightful. It's clean. It is the cheapest source of power by far than anything else. So why the others get subsidized and we don't? I don't understand it. But we are still making great progress because of the demand. We're getting pulled rather than pushed. So the
Yeah.
future is, we're going to keep expanding. Like I said, first it was rooftop ground mount, then it was brought on carports. Now we have a single access tracker that's going to take us into large utility projects, 400-500 megawatt projects.
Wow.
And then we have installed battery technology. Batteries is the next frontier that's going to be having a lot of steam, and that's solar with batteries or even just battery alone projects. So we
Hmm.
are we are going to be a leader in building battery technology projects.
Wow. Okay. Um, Love to see how that plays out and what business that drags you into because you're certainly not reluctant to follow and open up businesses that serve those communities. And I think sounds like geographically you're expanding as well. I know you've been southeast mainly, but moving across the country with your customers and
Yeah, we build anywhere in the United States.
does and here's a question I've like any GC and project-based business, there's obviously there can be sawtooth cash flows as projects roll off and new projects come on or don't come on or you have lulls and things like that. What are you doing to mitigate that volatility in your revenue stream? Have you picked up a service component or a recurring revenue stream in your business at all, Bill?
We have not yet. There's O&M, operation and maintenance contracts that are could be sought after. We have not chose to go after that yet. Right now, we're just on the build side and product side.
Hmm.
I don't think we mentioned I also have DCE services, which DCE design rather, that does the electrical designs. So we
Hmm.
have the full suite of offerings for solar. Uh, yeah,
Yeah. So, and it sounds like that the demand for projects is still robust enough so that you don't feel that a hedge with a recurring revenue stream is necessary, but I'm sure you're looking at it, or is it some,
yeah.
yeah,
Well, what we do is you got to fill the top of that funnel, right?
yeah.
So you make sure you have a lot of projects in that funnel. Um, to, because they move, right? So you think it's going to happen in September and it ends up in November. So now you have a gap, but
Yeah.
hopefully another project filled that gap. And that's the luxury of us acting as the GC. We can be nimble enough to bring on, we can take that project in Texas, and we know this, the electricians, we know the construction group, we know the civil, we can put them together and build the plant. So we are nimble, we can pivot quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So as we wrap up, as you look at the business today, what are the one or two things that have to go right over the next couple of years for you to get where you want to go?
Things that have to go right is we're working with AI to speed things up, because the problem, right, the challenge everybody has right now is people.
Mhm.
Getting the right qualified people in the seat. And again, we're quite a unique because we're looking for really certain behaviors that fit in our culture. So it's really using AI tools. Um, we will need more people for sure. It's finding
Mhm.
the right people, and then we'll pivot whatever we have to do with what the administration does, to make sure that we're observant and we can fit still the needs uh, of the energy demands that we have.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be all hands on deck and in pretty much all the sources of energy. If this AI spending, and build of data centers and electric usage, comes to pass, I think there'll be something for everybody. But
There is, and I'm not
yeah,
saying solar is the only source. I'm
yeah,
all in, but don't subsidize one over the other, and the one is just harming the environment versus something clean. That doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, Bill, this has been a great conversation. Really appreciate your sharing your journey and the way you've built the business. And for those listening, if you're a founder or leader thinking about how to scale your company, build a stronger team, or increase the value of your business, that's exactly the work I do with leadership teams every day. So, Bill, thanks again for coming on and sharing your story. And for everyone listening, thanks for joining us today on the Entrepreneur's Journey.
It's my pleasure.
Thanks, Bill.